Okay, so what's up? I am about to start my Lilith series. Hopefully you guys can hear me pretty good because I'm not using my microphone right now. Okay, but I'm about to start my Lilith series, and I'm starting with Lilith in the 12th house. I've had people request videos, okay, and Lilith has been one that has been interesting to me because it's not a planet, but at the same time, it plays a significant part in who we are. You know, the feminine, the unexpressed, suppressed feminine in us all, right? I'm under the awareness and understanding that a lot of heavy masculine people with that energy, and listen, this could be if you're a female, a woman, or a man. We're not confusing these dynamics. Okay. If you're a man that is connected to more of your feminine aspects of yourself, and you understand those feminine aspects of yourself, or that feminine side of yourself, to the point to where you're not trying to dismiss it in to pretty much gravitate towards what, the mainstream society, how the mainstream society responds to your masculinity. You may look at Lilith as a form of power and strength, especially where the placement is for you, because just because you're a man and you're in tune with your femininity, it doesn't necessarily mean that you express it on yourself. You could even at times, be interested in women, or the feminine aspect of, this existence, the ones that's projecting that. You could be interested in the way that they express themselves. And depending on what sign it is in, it could tell you or show you in the house, it could show you how you prefer that to be, that feminine quality to be expressed, right? We can say that because, I think people are not technical enough, or maybe they're too technical. I don't know how to relay that understanding of what I'm trying to say, but to where they get too caught up, even in today's world. They're like, well, if I'm a man, I cook. If I'm a man, I change tires. If I'm a woman, I cook. Even though I came across some excellent males that cook and they do their thing. You know what I'm saying? So the technicality of it all is it's a whole nother thing that gets in the way of us, I feel like, coming back to the core of ourselves, to the point of where we're understanding who we are on, individually, on a deeper level, to further evolve. All right. Now, with that being said, Lilith, whatever house is going to fall in, and today I'm starting with the 12th house, right? This is showing, the house that it's in is showing to where Lilith may be exuding or presenting or projecting, because notice I said projecting because Lilith can also show up in a very rebellious form, So the house that Lilith is falling in is going to show where it displays itself, or how it displays itself. And the sign, that's a whole other thing. But I promise you, if you stick with me and you subscribe to my channel, all my other subscribers, they know I get two things, okay? And I get around to it. But with that being said, Lilith in the 12th house. Let's go here then. Lilith in the 12th house, okay, is going to be, because if you take the 12th house of Pisces, all right, what I feel like people do not talk about when they talk about the sign of Pisces, and I will continue to say this, I will say this over and over again. They assign this to Scorpio, and I get why, because of the genitalia. But you have to understand, well, Scorpio represents that area. And Scorpio gets to know. This is why Scorpios get so attached to individuals, right? Because could you imagine having to sleep with everybody or just about darn near the whole entire world to try to figure out how to experience them, to try to figure out what that means, like how to relate to yourself. So Scorpios can get very attached to one person or one or two people or however you want to put it at a time. I'm not saying that they don't cheat and all that, but I'm just stick with me here. But because of their representation as genitalia, representing, our genitalia and things of that nature, they get the sexual rap, and I get why. Because they could be, very sexual in nature, experience through sex, but at the same time, some of them can be kind of prudent when it comes to they go to the extreme. One side of that extreme is very promiscuous and very much so out there, and the other side is prudent and kind of like, it has to be something special to me, right? They're trying to understand themselves through their sexuality. Pisces already understands itself through its sexuality, but I'm saying this because Pisces, the sign of Pisces, the planet of Neptune, does not really get identified as a sexual planet. But let me tell you, Pisces want to have ethereal relations with a person. They can take you, like being sexually involved with a Pisces can take you from reality into a whole other existence, to where it's like you're making love, on another planet or the moon or somewhere that ain't here physically. You know what I'm saying? They have that ability to kind of take you there. But I'm talking about Lilith, but just bear with me here. Y'all know I go off on a tangent. I will intuitively speak as well, okay? Now, with that being said, Lilith in the 12th house could be very much so in tune with her sexuality, or eventually becomes in tune with her sexuality. Lilith, and remember, sexuality is nothing but a creative force. So when Lilith in the 12th house, okay, taps into or becomes in tune with herself or itself, because I'm gonna refer to her as a her, even if this is in a man's chart, okay? What ends up happening is it can become in tune with itself and through its creativity, okay? Through its creative force, through its sexual force. That does not necessarily mean like you're just out there, Lilith in the 12th house is out there just having sex with a bunch of different people. Lilith in the 12th house may end up having these sexual relationships with different people or different individuals, because ultimately they're trying to come across their soulmate. And this is the same thing with the synastry aspect, guys. Like, I'll tap on this or touch on this, but I will do a separate video. If you have Lilith in the 12th house synastry, if your Lilith is in somebody's 12th house, you could see, or you can activate each other even more, or you can have dreams or fantasies of being sexually involved or making love to each other. But at the same time, you can sense this, like this could be something that takes place between you and a significant other, or you and someone else, whatever, without even physically being there or doing it yet, okay? And this is because this can trigger something like a past life situation, to where for some of y'all, for some connections, to where you've really have been physically involved with each other before. And it Lilith here wakes it back up and takes you guys back to those other worlds or the other times, and it depends on how deep, because Lilith, really what Lilith is trying to get you to do in each house is to get you to become aware of your own power that you suppress that can work for you. And a lot of people, since they don't know it themselves, it works against them a lot of times, or it there's a process, an awakening process that has to take place to get an individual to become accepting of their Lilith, right? But imagine if they already are accepting of that Lilith, or they become in tuned or accustomed to what Lilith is doing and how it's operating and what it's playing out. You guys, the synastry here, you can go very deep with each other, to the point to where the more you dive down and you get to know yourself, really what the other person is doing is getting you to go back to yourself and to set yourself free. And what happens is Lilith here sets their sexual desires free. And whatever creative process, whatever healing that has to take place, if you're triggered by somebody else, is for you to come back to yourself to see what is unresolved that you need to resolve or you need to fix. That's going to help you. And then it takes you deeper and deeper in the synastry, okay, and in the connection, with others. So Lilith in the 12th house is really ultimately trying to find their soulmate. And the Lilith individual too, the 12th house individual, the Lilith person is wanting a fantasy, is wanting to, or sees the 12th house person as someone that they can just set themselves free in and be accepting of their desires as a Lilith person, depending on the sign. And the 12th house person sees the Lilith person as awakening something inside of them, like a fire or a desire that they have not really been awakened to. They had it in their subconscious, okay? But as it awakens in them, if they can do the right thing or the correct thing and take things back to themselves, and they can really break free here and discover a whole other world of themselves, like really be in tune with themselves sexually. I'm talking about levels of being able to just really cut loose with the Lilith person. Like if this is synastry, you can have multiple, climaxing going on with each other. Like this, because I'm not necessarily trying to take this to the lower self, but I'm just trying to take this to a place to where we understand that we are sexual beings, but we don't have to be sexual with every aspect of like who we come across every single time. So what I'm saying is that the Lilith could really be creative, because it doesn't mean that just because you come across a Lilith in the 12th house synastry, it doesn't mean that you're going to be with that person necessarily per se. But let's say the person wakes up the creative spark within you. Let's say right there, you will discover something that you have a talent in, or it will revive something. It wakes up something in the subconscious that maybe you could have even done in a past life that kept you stuck in a past life that now you are ready to heal from, embrace, and move past. That works in your favor. That is for the good, the overall well-being for everybody involved. Like, you start looking at yourself as this divine being. Lilith in the 12th house is very, very intuitive. And there's something deep about them. Like, I know this is the 12th house, but it's something deep. It's like this, people could be attracted and afraid at the same time, because they want to go, they're drawn to Lilith in the 12th house, person like as a psychologist or somebody that can see through, especially like, let's say you have Lilith in the 12th house and Sagittarius, you can see things for people that they can't see for themselves. But it's like the same why people are drawn to you. If they have unresolved Lilith aspects or issues, it can trigger them to kind of go the opposite way, but they're drawn here because they sense something like mysterious about Lilith in the 12th house. They sense something deep about Lilith in the 12th house. It's kind of like going to the beach or something. You're like, whoa, what? Like, just think. Across there is Europe, or like. There's something that's simultaneously happening at the same time that I'm here, standing at the coast. But what is it? because I can't really get in there like, you know, like this. I have to be suited up. But Lilith in the 12th house, yeah, they can be mysterious. They can be very intuitive. You could receive so many messages, like being connected to the source. And you can use these things to free other people, just like gaining knowledge and stuff like that, accessing knowledge and stuff like that, to free other people. Now I'm going to stop here because I'm really running out of time because I have other stuff that I have to do. But I'm touching on this, but I'm coming back around to Lilith. Like I said, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because I will return and we will discuss more. We will talk more about Lilith. I will cover Lilith in the 12th house again, but the synastry aspect of it as well, and then go from there. All right.